Hi, so this is a late night recording with myself and Anwar. We're both ex-Project Pen. So Anwar used to be former developer on Project Pen. He's come a long way since then. We're both in Dubai. And we've been working on a blockchain publishing project for the past 13 weeks. So basically since the beginning of the lockdown here in Dubai. It's an MVP that we built using something called the Open Index Protocol, which was developed by a team in the United States called Alexandria Labs. So special mention to Amy, Devin, and Bits for all the help. Just a bit of background as to why we're doing this. The idea for blockchain, which is usually known as the technology that powers the Bitcoin, or crypto payments, is the idea for a decentralized, trustless financial system. What I want as a digital publisher and what the company I work for is interested in as well is applying some of those precepts to publishing. So how can we create decentralized, trustless networks in which creators can host their content and have smart contracts and micropayments and reasonable commission rates? And how can publishers create new platforms that incentivize that kind of thing too? So yeah, without further ado, what are we looking at right now, Anwar?
So we're looking at some content that has been hosted on IPFS, and all the addresses have been gathered from Open Index Protocol. The system itself is a basic Drupal system because most publishers are used to using Drupal. So yeah, that's pretty much what we're looking at right now.
So basically, because one of the big problems we had was, publishing to the blockchain is one thing, but creating a CMS that allows you to create an article and then automate that through IPFS and other systems to actually publish that on a chain is quite difficult. So one of the things you've done is basically integrated the Open Index Protocol with Drupal, right?
Yes.
Which is pretty cool. And we've got Arabic. Quite happy about that. All right, so maybe the best thing to do is to show people kind of how it works, I guess. Should we try and publish an article?
Yes, definitely. So we can actually publish an article as we usually do in the CMS. So here I've got one of your articles. So we can, the internet just called it once it created us back. So we can actually copy this link, this title, and we can copy some of the text, for example. We need an image, so I think I have saved this image earlier. Oops, sorry. And we just save. And what's going on in the background right now is that Drupal is communicating with IPFS in order to tell IPFS to host the image and the text that we have just pasted. And then Drupal will get the address of where IPFS have hosted these piece of information. And then it will send it to Open Index Protocol and tell it, here are the addresses. Please, when somebody asks for this piece of information, let them have these addresses, and then they can visit it to get the information. And this is what happens when we actually view the piece of content that we have just saved. It will take some time for it to be published because the transaction has not went through yet.
And so basically it's sending it over to the blockchain, and then it's calling it back.
Yes, exactly.
Really bad way of putting it. All right.
Well, what happened is that actually I do not have my blockchain open, or not blockchain, but my wallet.
Right.
So that's why the transaction did not go through.
Yeah, and we can, so this transaction wouldn't, because it didn't go through and we haven't got a transaction ID issued, it won't actually appear on the blockchain, right?
No, not yet. So
Okay.
the idea is that we're just creating a normal transaction in Flow. So we're sending Flow between two accounts. And since Flow as a coin or as a cryptocurrency can contain a certain amount of data, we are sending all the data that we created from the article, we're sending that through the transaction that we just made.
Okay.
So here it's just synchronizing with the network.
That's pretty cool. So basically, I mean, it would take, I don't think the transaction's gone through, but normally that would take a couple of minutes anyway. What about on the landing page we have where we've got the pre-published blockchain articles? Oh, are you reposting this?
I'm just trying to.
So basically, these are examples, right? I haven't seen the
Yes,
Arabic
these are
one.
just examples.
Okay, so
yeah, this is the Arabic one.
So basically, you know, when it all works, it sends it to the blockchain. What is IPFS? Just for background, how do we describe that to people who don't understand?
Okay, so IPFS is a system where files are hosted, but they're not centralized. So they're not hosted on a single server or cluster of servers. It's hosted on peer network. So my computer hosts some of this data, your computer hosts some of this data, and it hosts also copies of this data. So when an item goes into the network, it is hosted on multiple devices for normal users and not servers, and therefore it's pretty difficult to delete any of those files because they are hosted on, I can say, millions of devices.
Yeah, I mean,
at the same time.
Yeah, so IPFS, you can't see it, but it's actually a pretty big deal. Like this Arabic article we have in front of us, I don't know, this is probably one of the few, you know, direct from CMS, be it Drupal or any other CMS to the blockchain published articles. Yeah. There are definitely in the Middle East, but what's cool about this is publishing through IPFS is you have two differences really. The first is that the content is immutable. So that means if you publish on other internet platforms, it's easy to edit that content, take it down, play with it, even lose it. You know, in 20 years' time, a lot of the content that's on the internet right now will be disappeared. That's much more difficult, if not impossible, on the blockchain. The second point is, so it's closer to paper in a way, or, you know, physical books that are harder to destroy in a way than intangible content. The second thing that's very cool is that it's harder for kind of publishers in particular, or anyone, you know, any kind of platform or any kind of publisher, to remove that content. You know, so in 5 years' time, let's say someone's published an unpopular opinion, or, you know, the politics has changed. On the blockchain, it's much more difficult to censor and edit or remove uncomfortable content. That some people might not like that, and other people might think, you know, that's great. But in essence, it's a completely different way of storing content and indexing content. So, you know, that doesn't always appear on the front end, but behind the article, the way the information is structured is completely different. And that is why, do we have a transaction ID on this one?
Yes, this is the transaction ID.
So what is that?
So this is when we saved this content on Drupal, what happened is that we sent a certain amount of flows. In this case is 0.001 flows from one account, from this account to this account. And what happened is while we're sending this amount of flows, we sent data here. This data contains addresses and hashes that tells the website or any other website where to find the text and the image and the title and the author details of the creator or of the author of this article here. So all these details, so the image is actually saved in one place and the text is saved in another place and the author details are saved in the third place. And all of that is saved on IPFS, but they're not saved together. Each piece of information is saved on its own. And this,
you're bringing it all together, right?
and OIP is bringing it all together. So this flow data is telling OIP how to bring all this data together.
Oh, that's pretty cool. All right. Do you want to explain, is your wallet ready? Do you want to explain tipping?
Definitely. So tipping is, as you mentioned, one of the reasons we're doing this is for authors or content creators to get better commission rates and better deals, basically. So you are, as an author of this article, I like this article, so I would like to support you more. So I can actually go ahead and tip the author. Once I click that, what happens in the background is we are generating another flow transaction that has, in this case, has a predefined amount to send to the author himself, so the author can get some support from his fans or supporters. And what is going on right now is we're trying to hash and authenticate the transaction in order for it to actually happen. And what it's doing is it's taking some flows, or as you can see, it's taking some flows from my wallet and sending it to the author's wallet directly without the need of any intermediate banks or credit card payment gateways. Yeah.
Yeah. So basically crypto tipping.
Yes. So this is a micro transaction that has been sent from my account to your account.
And it was just like that. It was that quick.
Yes.
Wow. Great. So is there anything else we need to show? Don't think so.
Maybe we can show, I can show you, like if I go and edit this piece of content, you will see that the body area is empty and there are actually no content here. There's only a transaction ID, which is the transaction that we just viewed. But the content is still showing here because all of this is coming from OIP and IPFS.
Right, and I'm sure for publishers who use CMS, that's super confusing. But it shows again, how the new way the content is being stored. So yeah, this is the MVP. And to summarize, we've connected the Open Index protocol through Drupal to the blockchain. We found a way to publish articles and images. And we've set up a basic micropayments tipping function. So I'm quite happy with that, Anwar. I think it's pretty cool. So yeah, let's see where this goes in future. It's unclear at the moment what the use case will be, but it's definitely been interesting, right?
Yeah, it was interesting working on it too.
Yeah, definitely. All right, so there we go.